All right, everyone, let's get started now. So just to introduce myself, my name is Alan Wang. I'm from MeasureSquare on our support team and integration projects team. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over our MeasureSquare Stone and Tile solution for your cut to size projects, for your tile projects. And this session is going to serve as kind of like a basic step one kind of introduction to the software. So if any of you are already familiar with the Stone and Tile software, then you may be seeing a lot of information that you know already. But if you haven't started using the software yet, or you've already kind of started using it, but you're still pretty unfamiliar with it, then this will be perfect for you. So at any point in this presentation, feel free to just throw any questions you have in the Q&A session, and we'll try to get to those as soon as possible. I do have some team members in the chat as well, helping me answer any questions. So yeah, feel free to let me know if there is anything that you'd like me to go over in more detail. So this is going to be what we're going over today for the Stone and Tile software. I'm going to start by importing drawings. So your PDFs, your blueprints, and then I'm going to move on to how you can use those blueprints, do your drawings of your countertops, of any layouts on top of those, and assigning your materials to those countertop areas. Next, I'm going to work on creating worksheets. So essentially just listing out your line items, their estimations, their costs. And we're going to move on to slab nesting. How do you figure out how many slabs you need? What are the cuts you need on those slabs? And finally, we'll get to dry lay, which is going to be great for high-end residential projects. I'm going to go ahead and switch to our MeasureSquare Stone and Tile software. This may look familiar to some of you. Great. So this is going to be our Stone and Tile software. And like I said, the first step is just going to be importing a blueprint of my project. So to do that, I'll go and click on Import at the upper left. I'll go ahead and just select my blueprint right here. And you'll see a preview of that blueprint. So in this case, this is going to be an apartment building with a couple of different units in it. You can see there's an L-shaped countertop, some straight up rectangular countertops right here. I'm going to go ahead and select the scale on these plans, on this plan, and then I'm going to go ahead and import. So to set the scale, I'm going to click this drop-down menu right here, and then click on the 1/2 to 1 foot. Then I'll click on Import to Current tab. Great, so now our blueprint appeared in our takeoff screen. We're ready to draw. Before I do that, I'm just going to verify that this is going to be the correct scale. So a useful tool you can do to verify a scale of something is going to be using the dimension tool up here in the upper toolbar. I'm going to click on dimension, and you can see some crosshairs appear. To verify the scale of this blueprint, I'm going to locate a dimension line on here. So you can see that there is a line that says 2 feet. So I'll go ahead and zoom in. I'll click on one end. I'll just move my mouse over. You can see that's going to be pretty much correct, about 24 inches. So we're good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and just start by drawing out this countertop right here. Click on Draw Area up here at the left-hand side of the toolbar. And again, you'll see a crosshair. So for this countertop, I'm just going to start off at the left-hand corner of this countertop and just click at that corner, move my mouse over, and I'm just going to go and click over at each corner of this countertop until I'm done. When we get to the last edge of this countertop, I'm just simply going to right click the software will automatically draw that last edge of the countertop for me, so it'll save me a couple of seconds. So now you can see that I have a countertop drawn out right here. Now my next step is to add some seams, because obviously this is going to be too big of a piece to just get from a slab. So I'll click on the splitter tool up here in the toolbar. So in this case, since I want to add a seam that goes vertical from this corner up to the upper edge of the countertop, I'm going to go ahead and click the bottom part of the splitter button. I'm going to select vertical splitter. I'm going to hover over this corner, wait till it snaps. And you can see that there's a preview line that's green going up there. I'm going to click, and you can see that I just dropped a seam here. So it broke out this countertop into two pieces. Next, as you can see, I have a stove at this section of the countertop. So what we can do to create a space for that stove is, again, we'll use a splitter tool, but this time we'll use a horizontal splitter. I'll just zoom in and make sure to place this accurately. And I just dropped another seam there. So to make space for a countertop, I can just simply click on this red small little diamond here on this highlighted portion. I'll just drag it down and make space for the stove that way. So now you can see I have three separate pieces. I have an area for my stove. I have a seam in this corner right here. And of course, it's totally optional. You can select where you want to place your seams. So now my next step is, if I want to cut out this area for a sink, I can definitely do that by using our hole tool, our cutout tool. Otherwise, it's totally optional. Some people choose not to do this, but I'll just do this just to be thorough. So for the cutout tool, what I can do is I can just click on the cutout. I'll go to the corner of this sink right here and just go from corner to corner. And if I really want to make the lines match the curves of this sink, then all I have to do is just go ahead and select, right click on this hole, and then select round all corners. And I'll set this to maybe about a 2-inch corner radius so that it matches it perfectly. All right. Next up, of course, I want to add some splashes to this countertop. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on the splash tool up here in the toolbar. Click on splash. And as you can see, whenever I hover over some of these edges in the countertop, the software will automatically preview what that splash will look like. As you can see, that green highlighted area. So I'll click to drop the splash in these appropriate areas. And I'll put one more down here. Now I'm done adding the splashes. If I want to add some laminate edges to this countertop, I can also add it the same way that I added the splashes. This time I'll just click on laminate up in the toolbar. Then I'll just hover over the edges where I want the laminate. Now you may be wondering, like, how do you adjust the height of the wall splash, for example? But what you can do for the wall splash is you can drag it up. That's always going to be an option. Or you can simply click on the dimensions of any of these shapes and just type in a new number, for example, 6 inches, and it will be adjusted. Now, you may also be wondering, how do you set the default height of the wall splash so that you don't have to manually update the height every time? You can definitely do that by just clicking on the settings tool at the top left. And that's where you can kind of set a whole bunch of areas. For example, you can set the room, or you can set the window default dimensions as well. Also, you can also set waterfall with heights, that sort of thing. So, in addition to wall splashes and laminate edges, you may also be curious about how to do waterfalls. Well, we have a tool specifically for that. There's a waterfall button up here in the upper toolbar. You can click on waterfall. And if you hover over the end of this countertop over here, you'll see that it automatically kind of previews it in that spot. I'll just click to drop it right there. So right now I can just switch to 3D view to show you what I've got so far. Highlight these pieces. I'll go to view 3D, and you can kind of see a 3D representation of my L-shaped countertop with a cutout, the wall splashes, the laminate edges, as well as this waterfall here on the right side. So now that I'm done creating all the different pieces of my countertop, now it's time to add some products to it. We'll go ahead and add a cut to size stone material here. Let's see. So I'll go ahead and select a cut to size stone. So I'll select this ST15, just drag and drop that into my countertop. And as you can see, if you highlight all the pieces in this countertop, you can just simply drag and drop this ST15 stone in, and I'll apply it to all of these pieces at the same time. So as you can see already, I've got, once I added that cut to size stone to my countertop, the software automatically calculated the quantity of this particular countertop, which is going to be 35 square feet. Now, let's say we also have to account for any labor charges, for example, flat polish to this countertop. So I'll go ahead and add this flat polish to my countertop. I'll just simply drag and drop this into the different shapes. And you can see, based on this red dashed line, that the software does calculate this labor in a linear foot quantity. It does apply to the correct edges of this countertop. So it doesn't apply to the top, it doesn't apply to this edge right here, to this seam, just the exposed edges. So I'll go ahead and apply it to the rest of the pieces here, and also to my wall splashes as well. And of course, the waterfall. And then of course, we do also want to add a calculation for the cutout right here for the sink. So go ahead and select this one. As you can see, yeah, there's going to be my cutout. And it's going to show up here in the project items as well with a quantity of 1. So now that we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and make sure to do a couple of things here, since this is a multifamily project. Since this is a K01 unit and there are 16 units, we are going to have to duplicate this. So what I mean by that is you would have to, for example, duplicate this 16 times because there are 16 units. So I'll go ahead and set the duplication. I'll set it to 16. And the software, MeasureSquare Stone Tile, will automatically update the quantities appropriately based on the duplication. Additionally, I'll also want to use what's called a tag. So the tagging in MeasureSquare is just a way to kind of organize the different components of your project. For example, if I want to just highlight every single piece here, I can use these tags and I can label these as, for example, A01. what this does is that I can, let's see. So what this does is I can click on each piece of this countertop, and you can see that at the right-hand side of my property view over here, it shows that it's labeled, it's tag 1 as a K01. So this allows me to differentiate and organize all these pieces in my countertop by this tag. So for example, if there was a different countertop that was a type K02, then that would also be very helpful. That would be the immediate benefit, is that you can um, organize by these different apartment units. So let me just do this area for this K01 real quick so we can show you what that looks like. Simply just go and draw these different corners right here. And then I'll also add a seam as well. Vertical seam this time. And of course, I'm going to zoom in real close to make sure that it's placed exactly where I want it to. Then, of course, I'll just drag this over to create space for the stove. Great. And in addition to that, I'll also add my splash, as you guys already know. Just hover over these sides, and as well, I'll add in the laminate edges. Okay. And of course, now it's time to add the material for my cut to size. And for the flat polish as well. And then the last thing we're going to add here is going to be also the cutout for that sink. Okay, so now I have two types of countertops here, the K01 and the K02 version. Oh, this one, I know this one says 12 units, but we're just going to duplicate everything by 16. So let's just assume that both countertops have 16 or replicated 16 times. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and categorize this one as a type K01. Sorry, type K02. Excellent. Okay, and then I'll show you in another step. I'm going to show you what benefit comes from tagging these things. It's going to save you quite a bit of time. All right, so now for, let's see. All right, now for my room takeoff. So the feature of MeasureSquare Stone and Tile is going to be the room takeoff, which allows you to actually draw out rooms. For example, bathrooms, and you want to calculate how much tile you want on the floor or on the wall. The room takeoff tab up here is going to be what exactly you're going to do to achieve it. So I'll go ahead and create another tab. I'll call this one bathroom. Click on OK. And I'm going to import a different plan to kind of show you what that looks like. So here's my plan. Right. And of course, at this step, I'm going to scale this as well. This is also going to be a 1/2 inch to 1 foot. So I'm going to select the correct scale and then click to import to current tab. Well, you can see that in this plan are going to be a couple of variations of bathrooms. I'm just going to do one bathroom just to move things along here. And instead of using the draw area tool from before, in the room takeoff tool, in the room takeoff tab, there's going to be a draw room feature. So I'm going to click on draw room, and then similar as before, I'm going to go ahead and go to a corner, left click once to drop that drawing point. Then I'm going to move my mouse to the different corners of this bathroom. And there you have it. So there's going to be my room right here. I'm also going to add a door just because it does take up space. Click on OK, and then I'll just drop this door here. And then, of course, if I want, I can just have it open open to the other side, just to make it look more consistent. Yep. And at this point, if you have any questions, just feel free to just toss them in the Q&A session, and then we'll get them answered. All right. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing a couple of different objects in here. As you can see in this bathroom, I have a vanity over here, and I also have a bathtub. So in order to draw those things out in this bathroom, I'll have to use the elevation tool. So the elevation tool is where you can kind of draw objects in your rooms that are kind of like they take up space. They have a height, they have a width. So with this bathtub, I'm going to use the elevation. I'll click on that. I'll move it to the corner over here where that bathroom corner starts, or the bathtub starts. And then I'll go ahead and click right here at this corner. I'll move it across to the other wall. And as you can see, we have a purple line just all of a sudden appear along the other edges of where my bathtub's going to be. This means that the software is predicting that the bathtub is going to occupy this entire area. So I'm going to go ahead and right click to finish drawing this bathtub. Do we have any questions right now? Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Looks like we're good for now. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the stone takeoff. So the other object I'm going to draw is also my vanity. So I'll use the elevation tool. I'll go and start at the bottom corner here where that is, and I'll just trace out the boundaries of this vanity and right click to finish drawing it. So our next step after drawing the bathtub and the vanity are really just to make sure that they're the correct height. For example, for this bathtub, it's around 36 inches, which is a little bit maybe too high. So let's go ahead and adjust it so it's more like, let's call it 20, we'll call it about 28 inches. And for this vanity, let's go ahead and make this a little higher, and we'll just call it about 40 inches. And so if we go to our 3D view of our bathroom, you can kind of see the different shapes that are appearing in here. For example, you've got our bathtub right here, and we've got our vanity, which is sort of freestanding over here. Okay, so now our next step is to add some material to this bathroom. So I'm going to start off first with adding some tile, my floor here. So I'll go ahead and locate my ceramic tile, which is going to be this. We'll start by adding this CT30 to our floor, which is going to be a 12 by 24 tile. And additionally, let's also add some tile base to our bathroom. So if you want to add tile base to the bathroom, you're going to have to use our view wall tool. And what the view wall tool is, it lets you see the different walls, the side profiles of my bathroom, so I can actually access each individual wall. So to do that, I'll click on View Wall in the toolbar. And as you can see, once I select my room, all these different walls pop up. So all 6 walls. So for just to get started, I'll go ahead and just right click on any one of these walls. I'll click on Add Horizontal Wall Stack. So let's go ahead and add a 6-inch wall base here, or tile base. So I'll go ahead and pretty much just set a I'll go ahead and make sure that's about 6 inches or so. Yep. Cool. And then what I can do is I can just drag and drop that CT06 tile into that tile base area. And then I can just right click and I'll select product assignment. And I'm going to copy this wall profile. So my intention here is to take what I've got going on here with this 6-inch tile base and apply it to the rest of these rooms. I don't want to do this one by one for all the walls because it's going to take quite a bit of time. So I'll right click on this other room. I'll click on product assignment, and this time I'll click on paste wall profile to all walls. So as you can see, that applied a tile to pretty much every other wall here, which is pretty convenient. Additionally, let's say I want to add some tile as kind of like, the entire wall for where the tub is. So for this wall right here, you can see that it's the wall number 2. I'm gonna add some tile to the entire wall. So I'll just click and drag this CT31 over here. Additionally, I'm also going to add I also want to add some tile to this wall that's going to be directly above my bathtub. So I'll go ahead and right click, I'll add a vertical wall stack. And this time, instead of the horizontal, it's going to be a line going straight up. I'll click to drop it there. And then of course, I'll also click to drop it here as well. So now I'll just drag and drop that CT31 into those appropriate areas. And then I'll show you in a second what that's going to look like in our 3D view. So click View 3D, and this is going to be what our bathroom is looking like right now. So you can see the tile on the floor. I've got my tile base right here, as well as tile on the walls directly above the bathtub. Additionally, we can also do this little vanity right here. I just add another piece of a countertop. So for these kinds of kind of mixed rooms where you have some countertops and you also have like tile on the floor and walls, you can draw them using the room takeoff tool. And then of course you need to switch back to our area takeoff to draw this little countertop. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my area takeoff tab. I'll click on draw area, and then I'll simply just make sure to trace out this area where I've got right here. And then same as before, I'll go ahead and add that stone material, that ST15 cut to size stone. Just drag and drop that there. I'll also add in my flat polish. Sure to erase that. Use my linear eraser, and I'll just remove it from this side because it's up against the wall. And of course, I'll also add in my cutout labor charge. So now we're looking like we have a pretty complete breakdown of a complete takeoff and estimation of our project. So now I'll go ahead and I'll go to our worksheet tab. So our worksheet is essentially going to be kind of like similar to Microsoft Excel. It's going to be a little spreadsheet with all of your line items, your estimations, and your costs. So I'll click on New, OK. And as you can see, I already have I have a spreadsheet popping up here. It's separated right now currently into bathroom and kitchens. So as you can see, I've got sales amount that's broken out already. Bathroom is going to be about 1,200. My kitchens are going to be a total of about almost 68,000. If to expand these sections, I can see what are the individual breakdowns of the materials. So for the bathroom, for the CT06 tile, I've got this quantity, and I've got the sales amount. You can see that listed for all the products I use in the bathroom, and of course for my kitchens. To kind of add more columns to the worksheet, you can do that by just clicking on the Select Columns tool up here in the toolbar. For example, if I want to add in let's see, I want to add in like cost price, or if I want to add in a markup, I can do that as well. You can also add in net area, waste ratio. So it's definitely a lot of things you can choose to add. So click on OK. And one thing I can also do is, let's see, sorry, guys, give me 1 second here. Cool, perfect. All right, so now I'm also going to group things by tag. So this is what I mentioned earlier when I was tagging my kitchen countertops. If you recall, I tagged one kitchen countertop as a K01 apartment unit, and the other kitchen countertop as a K02. We duplicated them both by 16 times. So with those tags are vital to this worksheet, especially if you want to break them down by, for example, apartment unit. So to do that, I can just simply just group these by click on the group button first of all in the toolbar. Then I can select by tag 1, right? So what grouping does is it then rearranges the spreadsheet so that the column for their tags is going to be at the far left. This means that everything's broken down by, for example, apartment unit. So you can see our total for their K01 is about 38,900, while the total for our K02 apartment kitchens are going to be set to about 25,800. And of course, I've got my other materials here, which I didn't tag. So you guys can see the value here. This is just for one tag level by apartment unit. If you want to add additional tags, for example, by others, you can add them as well. Now we're going to move on to what's going to be our expanded residential quote. So this is just going to be a quote. It's like essentially a PDF document that's going to be taking all of the quantities from this screen to this page right here. And of course, with this quote, you can also choose what kind of columns you want to display. You can choose to update your company logo into this PDF. From here, you can just export this to a PDF file and then just send it to a customer or share it with other members of your team. Now we're going to move on to the slab optimizer. So the slab optimizer is a really important feature of our Stone and Tile software that is pretty great for cut to size projects that are like very large. For example, a large multifamily project or a commercial project. So if I click on import worksheet, I'll just get started with that. Click on OK. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So when I imported my worksheet in from this tab, then what you're going to want to do now is make sure to kind of select your cut options here. So with my blade width, I'm going to set it to whatever, of course, my blade width is. For the first cut direction, we're going to leave it like this so that the software has more freedom to kind of find the most efficient way to cut these, to make these cuts. And then, of course, we've also got our cut complexity. So for the cut complexity, we have a couple different levels from 2 to 6. From 2, it's going to be the least amount of complexity. For example, if you've got like a bridge saw. Moving on, we've got a level maybe 3 to 4, we've got a CNC machine. And then, of course, at level 5 to 6, that's what you want to select if you have something like a water jet that can cut pretty complex shapes. And then, of course, down here we have the slab. So this is going to be where your slab sizes come into play. I have mine set to 126 inches by 63 inches. Of course, you'll want to put in your own slab sizes. For this one, let's say I'm working with about, let's say I'm working with about like 9 slabs or 10 slabs. And let's say I have additional slabs of different sizes, I can do that as well. For example, if I have a 120 by 75-inch slab, and I have like about 6 of these, I can do that too. So the software definitely can take into account different slab sizes and lay them out appropriately. So I can click on Start Cut to calculate this. So I'm going to go ahead and just take out this just to make sure we have enough slabs to work with here. Okay, perfect. So our software, as you can see, just took a couple of seconds just to figure out how to best cut all of our countertops from these slabs. So as you can see here at the top, we've got some details about the output. For our product ST15, for the slab size is 126 inch by 63 inch, we're going to need 18 of these slabs. So the total square footage of all these slabs is going to be 992. I've got waste here listed as well, my yield percentage, my waste percentage. So looking down here, what that means for each of these is you've got a bunch of your countertop pieces laid out onto these slabs. These are the cuts you're going to make. For example, for this one right here, I've got for this particular cut layout, I have about 8 of this layout. And of course, this is my yield percentage for this one, waste percentage. And of course, that's going to be the same for the rest of these. For example, this one has 2 of this cut arrangement, 2 here, 1 here. So the software can take a pretty complex project like this, or maybe not as complex as it could be, but it'll take a project like this where you have a bunch of different shapes, you have several units, and it's able to figure that out automatically in a couple of seconds. So this is a really good time saver. Once you've generated these out and these look good to you, you can export this to a CAD file so you can then kind of feed it into your CNC machine. So that's pretty much it for the slab optimizer feature. If you have any questions about that, just feel free to throw that in the chat section or in the Q&A section. So now I'm going to move on to our shop drawings. So for the shop drawings, I'll just go over this real quick. So I can import my takeoff. And what this does is it just simply brings in the drawings I made from my area takeoff into these little forms here. As you can see, they are just populating the shapes. with some dimensions in here. For example, I've got dimensions for my laminate edges. I've got dimensions for the countertop as a whole. And I've got like a distance dimension from the edge of the countertop to my cutout. So if you want some more detail on these shop drawings, you can definitely do them by, for example, adding more dimensions here. For example, if I want to add a dimension here from the different edge of my cutout, I can do that. I can even add some notes as well. Of course, I can also insert photos or any tables or um, a variety of things. For example, I can even add in some details into these little fields here. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to our dry lay module section. So dry lay is going to be great for high-end residential. So I guess normally for commercial projects, maybe you wouldn't care as much for dry lay, but for in this case, let's just assume that we want to do some vein matching. So what we can do for that is just simply go to our dry lay module up here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a slab. Of course, we're going to select, this is going to be the correct size. So perfect. So let's say, for example, we've got one slab of this length that we want to do some vein matching on. We'll click OK. And in this section here at the left that just suddenly appears, that's going to be our slab, this gray rectangle. Now to do my slab, my vein matching, I want to import an image of my slab. And just simply select my slab image that I've got already loaded in here. You can see that we've got kind of like a nice, beautiful pattern going on here. We do have a little darker area in this section over here. I'll go ahead and just click on OK to select this particular piece. And now for the vein matching, what you're essentially going to want to do is just simply drag all of these pieces over. So for example, I can just simply just drag and drop this slab, or sorry, this wall splash over here to this part of my countertop of my slab. And you can see that the texture from the slab image that I imported shows up here. Now, I'm also going to drag the other pieces of my countertop as well. So I'll drag in this other wall splash. I'll make sure it snaps. You can see by the green line, it's snapping to that upper edge. I'll drop that there. I'll also drag this piece in now. And finally, this large piece as well. And basically, I'll just want to repeat this for every single piece here. And I'll drag in this waterfall section. Perfect. So obviously you can see that we can move things around. You can see the image of my slab appearing in that drawing on the right-hand side as I move them around. I'm going to add in these last pieces here. Looks like it fits well. Perfect. And now these last two pieces. Perfect. So yeah, that's going to be what our countertop looks like now. To view this in 3D, you can definitely do that by clicking on the View 3D tool. Whoops, my mistake. Highlight every single piece here. View 3D. I am going to want to show my dry lay texture so you can see what exactly the slab looks like. So this is going to be a cool little tool you can use to visualize. You can send this to your customer as well. Simply just export this to PDF so that you can send to a customer, or you can export this to a CAD file if into a CNC machine. You got a bunch of different options. Alrighty, guys. Um, one more thing is if you don't want to manually drag and drop this in, you can simply click on the auto plan function right here. So the auto plan just lets the software automatically dictate how to lay these things out. The software laid out the pieces like this, and then you can see you've got the section with the sink cutout right there. You've got some of the laminate edges there. Um, Once you click on auto plan, it erases everything you've done before. Just be careful about that. I can select my image again. Okay, and that's what the slab would look like. That about pretty much covers our stone and tile software. We went over area takeoffs for my kitchen countertops here. Went over room takeoffs for my bathroom in this tab. Went over the worksheet where you can kind of see all your quantities and the cost and how to break them out. And of course, the quote, which you can send as a PDF, slab optimizer to really figure out how to best optimize your cuts on all your slabs. And of course, the dry lay for vein matching, kind of more design aspect, and of course, shop drawings. Definitely appreciate you guys sitting through this and taking a look at what the software can do. Now I think it's going to be a great time for any questions we can answer. Okay. And of course, I do also want to let you guys know more about our company if you're not familiar with us. And you can see that based on the slide, we have a pretty good support team. Um, we do have hours from Monday from Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. You can reach us via phone or email. With phone, you're going to get probably more an instant answer, but our team is pretty responsive. If you do purchase the software, we do have custom tailored onboarding. So what that means is that based on your particular needs, we can structure the trainings to reflect the topics that you like to cover. For example, if there's a certain type of project you guys usually do, we can tailor that training to make sure you guys get the most out of it. Additionally, as customers, you are entitled to updates and advancements of the software. MeasureSquare is really great at continually updating the software and making improvements based on feedback from industry users such as yourself. Then, of course, we do have other ways that we can support you. We do have an AI chatbot on our website, something that you can ask as a resource. And you just type in your question, and it should give you a pretty decent answer. And it is available 24/7. So we do also have Udemy courses that are on demand. You can just simply go to a website, sign up for free, and then just watch videos, take quizzes, and do little small projects at your own pace. I also have a Facebook user group for some of you guys who are active on Facebook. There are a lot of other users on there. You can ask questions. Um, our team members may answer your question, or another MeasureSquare customer may answer your question. So it's a great way to kind of share knowledge and any tips and tricks. We also have a YouTube channel, as many of you may know, where you can see past webinars, product tutorials, feature updates, and a lot of things. And additionally, we do have knowledge-based articles, essentially just very detailed articles on how to use certain features or do certain things. Now, finally, yes, let's get to our questions. I know there might be a few, so fire away. see. Okay. See, we've got some questions here already. A great question. Um, yes, there is a way to import prices and products to MeasureSquare. So in MeasureSquare, and I'll just go ahead and share my screen again here. In MeasureSquare, there is a way you can import your products. As you can see here in my product catalog, I can just right click, click on Import Export, and that'll let you import an Excel file. So what that means is that you can just simply go to Excel, make sure that it's the correct format that our software takes, and then just put in your different materials there, your cut to size stone, your tiles, dimensions, cost price or sales price there, and then you would just import via that method. And then of course it's gonna once you import it in, it's gonna last you for however many projects, however many projects you do. Oh, looks like that was actually already answered before. Alrighty, so it looks like we don't have any other questions right now. I'm just gonna sit here for another couple of minutes if there's anything else. Awesome. Okay, additionally, guys, I do want to let you guys know that if you do have any questions about our software, you can always reach out to us after this call. In fact, I'll share that my screen again so you guys can see that contact info. So for support questions, you can reach our support team at support@measuresquare.com at this phone number here. And once you call that phone, just hit option 3 just to get to our support team. And then for any sales questions, if you want to purchase a software, just feel free to contact our sales representative, Kathy. Her email is Kathy@measuresquare.com, and that's her phone number. Okay. If there are no other questions, then I'll go ahead and we can go ahead and end this session here. Again, thank you for your time. I appreciate your patience. I hope you found this session helpful. And of course, this webinar is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel by the end of the day if you'd like to take a look or perhaps share it to another team member. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.